Welcome to the Book Reading and Summaries channel.
Summary of the Divine Comedy by Dante Alighieri. Introduction. The Divine Comedy, written by Dante Alighieri in the early 14th century, is one of the greatest works of world literature, a vast allegorical and theological poem that explores the destiny of the human soul, the moral structure of the universe, and the possibility of spiritual transformation. Composed in three parts, Inferno, Purgatorio, and Paradiso, the poem follows Dante himself as the protagonist on a visionary journey through hell, purgatory, and heaven. Guided first by the Roman poet Virgil and then by the heavenly figure Beatrice, Dante moves from despair and error toward purification and ultimately toward the fullness of divine love. The poem is deeply rooted in medieval Christian cosmology, Aristotelian philosophy, Thomistic theology, and classical literature, yet it is also personal. It reflects Dante's political exile, his longing for justice, and his idealization of Beatrice as an image of divine grace. The journey takes place during Easter week in the year 1300 and represents not only a literal voyage but also a spiritual pilgrimage from sin to redemption. Inferno, Hell, entering the dark wood. The poem begins with one of the most famous lines in literature. Dante finds himself lost in a dark wood, symbolizing spiritual confusion and sin. It is midway through his life, and he feels he has strayed from the straight path. Attempting to climb a hill bathed in sunlight, representing salvation, he is blocked by three beasts, a leopard, a lion, and a she-wolf, symbolizing individual sins and humanity's fallen nature. Fleeing in terror, he encounters the shade of Virgil, the classical poet, who has been sent by Beatrice to guide him. Virgil tells him the only way forward is to descend through hell, then climb the mountain of purgatory, and finally ascend to heaven. The architecture of hell. The Inferno is structured as a funnel-shaped pit beneath Jerusalem, divided into 9 circles, each punishing a different category of sin. These sins range from lack of self-control to violence, fraud, and treachery. The deeper the level, the graver the sin. The vestibule, the indifferent. Before even entering hell proper, Dante sees the souls of the morally indifferent, those who lived without taking a stand for good or evil. They are condemned to chase an ever-shifting banner while being stung by insects. This reflects Dante's belief that neutrality in moral crises is itself a form of guilt. Circle 1, Limbo. Virgil leads Dante into Limbo, a peaceful but sorrowful realm where virtuous pagans reside, Homer, Horace, Ovid, Plato, Aristotle, and others. They suffer no physical torment, but they lack the light of God. Dante respects them deeply but sees that human reason alone cannot grant salvation. Circle 2, the Lustful. The souls of the lustful are blown forever in a violent wind. Dante speaks with Francesca da Rimini, who fell in love with her husband's brother Paolo. Her tragic story of love and murder evokes Dante's compassion but also warns of the destructive power of uncontrolled desire. Circle 3, the Gluttonous. Here, gluttons lie in freezing slush, tormented by Cerberus. One soul, Chaco, prophesies political strife in Florence. Dante learns that excess is not simply indulgence but a failure to use earthly goods wisely. Circle 4, the Avaricious and the Prodigal. The greedy and the wasteful roll heavy stones in eternal opposition. Their inability to balance worldly goods and life is mirrored in their futile battle and death. Circle 5, the Wrathful and the Sullen. The river Styx holds the wrathful battling on the surface, while the sullen gurgle beneath the water, having repressed their anger in life. Dante also encounters the infernal city of Dis, whose fallen angels initially block his entry. Lower Hell, Violence and Fraud. Circle 6, the Heretics. In flaming tombs lie those who denied the immortality of the soul. Dante meets Farinata degli Uberti, a political enemy, who speaks about the limited prophetic knowledge of the damned. Circle 7, the Violent. Divided into 3 rings, this circle contains the violent against neighbors, self, and God. Violent against others are immersed in boiling blood. Suicides inhabit a dark, thorny forest where their souls grow as trees and are tormented by harpies. Blasphemers and the violent against nature suffer on a burning plain. Circle 8, Fraud, now bulge. This vast circle contains 10 bulge, each punishing different kinds of fraudulent behavior: seducers, flatterers, simonists, soothsayers, corrupt politicians, hypocrites, thieves, false counselors, sowers of discord, and counterfeiters. Dante meets many historical and mythical figures, including Ulysses, whose eloquence led to deceptive persuasion. Circle 9, Treachery. The final circle is a frozen lake, Cocytus, where traitors are trapped in ice. At its center stands Lucifer, a monstrous being with 3 faces, each chewing a great traitor: Judas, Brutus, and Cassius. The poets climb down Satan's body and pass through the center of the earth, emerging beneath the stars on the other side of the world. Purgatorio, Purgatory, arrival on the shores of Purgatory. After leaving hell, Dante and Virgil emerge on an island at the antipodes of Jerusalem. Purgatory is a mountain with terraces where souls undergo purification. Unlike hell, this realm is filled with hope, hymns, and spiritual light. The structure of Purgatory. Purgatory consists of Anti-Purgatory, for souls who delayed repentance. 7 terraces, corresponding to the 7 deadly sins. The earthly paradise, at the summit. Each terrace purifies a particular vice, transforming it into its opposing virtue. Anti-Purgatory, late repentance. Dante meets souls who repented only at the end of life, excommunicates negligent rulers, and those who died by violence or misfortune. They must wait before ascending higher, learning the value of timely moral choice. The 7 terraces. Each terrace is structured with 3 elements. Examples of virtue, often carved in miraculous relief. Penances that correct the corresponding sin. Examples of vice to avoid. Terrace 1, Pride. The proud carry enormous stones that bow them low. Dante sees sculptures depicting humility, Mary, David, and Trajan. The proud must learn the virtue of recognizing their dependence on divine grace. Terrace 2, Envy. The envious wear garments of rough haircloth and have their eyes sewn shut with iron wire. Voices proclaim examples of generosity. Envy, being rooted in distorted perception, is purified through enforced blindness. Terrace 3, Wrath. The wrathful walk in acrid smoke, symbolizing blinding anger. Dante experiences visions of gentleness and meekness. Terrace 4, Sloth. The slothful rush around the terrace, constantly moving. Their spiritual laziness in life is corrected by endless zeal. Terrace 5, Avarice and Prodigality. The avaricious are bound face down to the ground. Their obsession with earthly goods is purged through forced humility. Dante speaks to Pope Adrian V, who confesses the corrupting nature of wealth. Terrace 6, Gluttony. The gluttonous suffer hunger and thirst while surrounded by fruit they cannot reach. Examples of temperance encourage moderation. Terrace 7, Lust. The lustful walk through cleansing flames while chanting hymns. Dante, though afraid, enters the fire at Virgil's urging. This is one of the most dramatic moments of the Purgatorio, signifying the final purification before Eden. The earthly paradise. At the summit lies the Garden of Eden. Here, Dante witnesses a mystical procession representing biblical history and the Church. Finally, Beatrice appears, radiant and stern. Virgil disappears, reason can guide Dante only so far. Beatrice rebukes Dante for his past moral failings, and Dante undergoes an emotional purification through remorse. Immersed in the waters of the Lethean Uno, he is cleansed of sin and restored to innocence and virtue. Paradiso, Paradise, ascent into heaven. Guided by Beatrice, Dante ascends through the celestial spheres. Paradise is ordered according to Ptolemaic cosmology: the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the fixed stars, and the Prima Mobile, culminating in the Empyrean, the realm of pure divine presence. Every soul in heaven enjoys perfect bliss, but appears to Dante in different spheres to accommodate his limited perception. The spheres and their virtues. 1. The Moon, being constant. Dante meets souls who broke vows but repented. Through them, he learns that true integrity requires constancy of will. Mercury, the ambitious. Here dwell those who did good works out of desire for fame. Their joy is perfect but expresses a lower degree of selfless love. Venus, the lovers. Souls whose love, though passionate, was directed toward good reside here. Dante reflects on Eros transformed into divine charity. The sun, the wise. This sphere bursts with radiant light. Dante meets saints and theologians such as Thomas Aquinas and Bonaventure, who explain the harmony of divine truth and human understanding. Mars, the courageous. Warriors of faith form a glowing cross. Dante meets his ancestor Cacciaguida, who foretells Dante's future exile and gives him moral courage. Jupiter, the just rulers. The souls of righteous kings form an eagle of light. They discuss divine justice and the mystery of salvation. Saturn, the contemplatives. Ladder-like beams of light symbolize the ascent of the contemplative soul. Dante meets saints who emphasize spiritual discipline and holy quiet. The fixed stars, the triumphant church. Here Dante is examined on the virtues of faith, hope, and charity by Saints Peter, James, and John. Peter condemns the corruption of the papacy on earth. The prima mobile, the physical source of motion. Dante witnesses the choirs of angels and understands the structure of divine love as the force that moves all creation. The Empyrean. Finally, Dante enters the Empyrean, a region beyond physical space. He sees a celestial rose filled with the blessed, and Beatrice returns to her seat among the saints. Saint Bernard becomes Dante's final guide and instructs him in the contemplation of the Virgin Mary. In the final vision, Dante beholds the mystery of the Holy Trinity. He sees the divine essence, the perfect unity of love, in the incarnation of Christ. Human language fails to describe the experience. Dante's will and desire become aligned with divine love, bringing the poem to a close with one of the most famous lines in literature, "The love that moves the sun and the other stars." Conclusion. The Divine Comedy is far more than a medieval allegory. It is a profound exploration of human freedom, responsibility, justice, love, and the soul's longing for the divine. Dante's journey represents the universal human quest for meaning, the descent into error, the struggle for moral renewal, and the ascent into wisdom and love. Through the landscapes of hell, purgatory, and heaven, Dante dramatizes the consequences of sin, the possibility of repentance, and the fulfillment of grace. The poem remains a towering achievement, a bridge between classical tradition and Christian theology, between personal experience and universal truth. Above all, it presents a vision of the human soul's potential to rise from confusion and despair to enlightenment and union with the ultimate source of love.
Subscribe to the channel to motivate us to create more useful videos.